Presentation on the lower deck. If you'd like to work your way downstairs, we'll be starting here in just a bit. If you guys don't have a seat anywhere you can find, you're welcome to stand up along the rails. All we need is that blue aisle that go around those center seats clear, just so that we have some room to walk around, and we'll come to you guys. Quite a bit of people. The crew's actually saying they're going to walk upstairs as well, so anywhere you guys are on the boat is fine. And up on that top deck, if we could just have that blue aisle that goes down the middle clear, and we'll be coming up here while we're talking about the marine life for you guys. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to be talking about here is our pinfish. Now, this is the most common bait fish that we have here in all of the bay, and this is actually the food for everything that inhabits our area. It's pretty much at the bottom of the food chain. All the birds, the seagulls, pelicans, the dolphins, and all the bigger game fish will go after that guy. However, to us, it doesn't taste good at all. It actually tastes like a mouthful of mud. But what it is useful for is if you're going to go offshore fishing and you had a bunch of those pinfish, you put those on a hook and use them as bait, you'll be able to turn that small little fish into a big old prize-winning game fish. Cobia, wahoo, amberjack, pretty much anything will go for that. Now, the pinfish gets its name because of the pins that go along the dorsal fin, and they're there for some defense. Now, the reason I say some defense is because it doesn't always work for them. They pretty much have a 50-50 chance every time they get swallowed. If they get swallowed tail first, they'll usually get spit back out because those pins will do their job, what they're designed for. They'll lock up and get caught on the predator's mouth or throat and then get spit out. But if they're to get eaten head first, those pins will lay down flat and slide down that predator's mouth just no problem, and he'll get eaten that way. Now, the pinfish is a schooling fish, and they'll all stick together because there's safety in numbers. And so if they look like a big massive object, if there's any other fish in the area, it'll kind of deter them thinking it's a larger fish from them. Now, if you guys have ever known that fish are slimy, well, that slime is a protective coating. It keeps them from catching different bacteria or any diseases that may be in water. So the best thing you can do if you're going to grab a fish is hold it with your bare hands, or even if possible your wet hands. That way you don't remove that slime. And when you throw him back in the water, he's going to stay a little healthier.
That's crazy.
And he's not going to catch something. Alright, guys, so the next thing we're going to be talking about here is our brief squid. Alec is going to be walking around here with it. Now, the squid, just like an octopus, does have tentacles, and they do have 8 tentacles. 6 of them are actually longer, and there's 2 of them that are shorter. Now, the shorter ones are the club tacula, and those will have the suction cups at the ends of the tentacles, and that's what they'll use to grab onto their prey and pull it into the middle where their mouth is. And their mouth is real sharp. It's like a beak of a bird. And even one that size can actually take a little chunk of skin out of you, so you got to be real careful when you're using the squid. Now, the squid, if you guys have ever heard before, calamari, that's what they'll use in the restaurants as appetizers. Usually they're a little bit bigger than the one we have here. And another thing that they're good for is bait as well. Everything here in the bay would go after that. Now, the squid does have an ink defense just like an octopus, but the octopus will blind the fish with the cloudy ink, and the squid's ink will stay clumped together and real stringy, and what it does is it makes a foul taste in the water, so any fish that are around it will think it's going to taste bad, and it will leave it alone. Alright guys, now Jose is going to start walking around here with what we're famous for in the Gulf, and these are the brown shrimp. This is the Texas Gold. So the shrimp that we have here in the bay isn't what you would see normally in the restaurants. All that's going to be caught in the Gulf of Mexico, and they'll be much larger. So these are more for bait as well. Now, there's 3 different types of edible shrimp in the Gulf. It's the pink shrimp, the white shrimp, and the brown shrimp. And the brown shrimp is the one that's most predominant along the coastal areas. That's what we have here today. Now the shrimpers, when they go offshore, they'll stay out anywhere between 7 and 45 days, and on a good haul, they'll come back in with about 60,000 pounds of shrimp. So they'll actually dehead them offshore, and the reason for that is, if you look real carefully while Jose's walking around, you'll see that in the head, there's like these dark spots. Those are all the vital organs, and they're in that one piece, which is the head. So once you pop the head off, you're left with the finished product and what you see in the restaurants, which is just the tail.
Oh, wow. What is that crepe doing over here?
All right, guys, now Alex is gonna start walking around here with our female blue crab. Now we know this one's a female for a couple of reasons. As he's walking around, if you'll take note, on the claws, they're orange. Well, on a male crab, the claws would be blue or white. So just like how girls like to paint their nails, same thing with the blue crab. They will have the colored tips of the claws. And the other reason we know it's a female, this one actually happens to be holding eggs. She'll hold anywhere between 200,000 and 800,000 eggs. And if you notice the color of it, it's like an orange right now. Well, she'll have a couple more weeks until those eggs turn almost black, and she'll find a real deep part in the bay to scatter out all those hundreds of thousands of eggs. Now, of all of those, just a real small percentage will actually grow to be full-size crab, because a lot of the fish around here actually eat the eggs, and as they're even growing up, even a lot of the black drum and the red drum that we have eat small crabs as well. Now, if we were harvesting crabs, we'd have to throw that one back, of course, because it did have the eggs. But as long as it's more than 5 inches from tip to tip, which this one looks like it's about that size, and if it didn't have the eggs, you can harvest it and take it home and eat it. Now, if you guys see crab on the menu, we highly recommend it as soft shell crab or crab cakes. And the way they make it a soft shell crab is they don't boil it or anything like that. Once a month, according to the lunar cycle, the crabs will molt. And what that means is they'll crack down the shell on the back and crawl out of that hard shell for about 4 or 5 days. Their whole body is really soft, and that's when the restaurants will actually time it and pick up all their crab chaps so they can harvest the soft shell crab. Now, after the shell gets hard again, they'll have grown 25 to 35% larger in just those few days. And any of their limbs, if they were to have lost before, they'll grow back in just that short amount of time. That way, when the shell gets hard again, they'll be able to start all over and have all their limbs again. Now, their claws are actually really important to them. Usually, a crab will have one claw bigger than the other. Well, the bigger and thicker one is for crunching and mashing, and the skinnier one is sharper. It's for shredding. So what they do is they don't have any teeth. They have to break their food apart as small as they can before they put it in their mouth to eat it.
Get this way. This way. It's not gonna give you some time. That's a big crab.
All right, guys. Now Jose is going to be walking around with our least puffer, or better known as the smooth puffer fish. Now this one does get to be about 12 inches, so this one's a small one. And it does get the nickname the puffer fish, of course, because it will start to inflate. And this one, it'll usually be the belly that'll make itself bigger. Now, puffer fish, they've theorized that they puff up for a few reasons. One is an intimidation tactic, so that way it'll look bigger to any other predator. Also, if it were to start getting smaller, when it starts to inflate, it'll actually stop dead in the predator's mouth, so it'll actually have to spit it out again. Now, the puffer fish itself can be eaten. Not anywhere around here do we see it in any restaurants, but in other countries, they do prepare puffer fish. But the reason it's so rare to see it, especially here or anything, is because they are poisonous. Now, there's actually no cure, and it's a tetrodotoxin. And what it does is it paralyzes anything and eventually will kill you. So the way they have to prepare it is they have chefs that are trained for months at a time, and they have to be certified to be able to clean it properly. And it's usually the skin and the vital organs that are poisonous. And from there, they'll serve it up, and they're restaurants.
So it goes-
Most of the
it
time
makes
when people
them
dive eating
faster,
pufferfish, it's just from somebody that got brave enough to try to try it themselves and didn't really work out for them.
There he is. Yeah.
Stomach into there, digest what's inside. And if you ever heard that sea stars can regenerate their limbs, that is true as well. If they were to break off an arm, they will grow back, and the first thing that grows back is the eye, and then the rest of the arm comes through. Now it looks like we do have some dolphins coming up here towards the right side, so we're gonna go ahead and slow down here. And remember, anywhere you guys want to walk around and get a better look is fine. You're gonna go to the front of the boat or anywhere along the rails. Now once we're done with the watching the dolphins here, we start heading out towards the jetties. If you guys want to see any of the marine life again for a second time, or anything that's safe to touch, if you want to hold or get some better pictures with, you can ask Jose or Alec, and they'd be happy to help you guys out. But for now, we're going to go ahead and spend some time here with these dolphins. Should be coming out right up ahead.
Look at those dolphins. And there's something floating there. I don't know what it is.
That's a dolphin.
That's not a dolphin. I just don't know what that is. That white thing.
Yeah. I don't know what is that.
Oh,
What is it? And what was that?
it was a dolphin.
No, what was that?
Oh, I don't know.
It looks like a.
Just look at the dolphins, Beto.
It looks like a electrical waterproof boat.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Yeah, I think it is.
That's a dead turtle.
Huh?
That's a dead turtle.
What does that mean? It could kill animals.
It's upside down.
So that means, well, you know why it's upside down?
Probably does.
So they don't.
It's right
Whoa.
Okay, going right across the front of the boat here. Now it does look like there's some a little further back here behind us on the right as well. We'll just try to see which ones are going to be coming up more often for us. Now the ones that came out in front, it does look like they have one of the babies with them. So if you look real carefully, you'll see a real small one coming out there.
They're still learning how to jump. Where are they?
Oh, they're down there. Not jumping up. You need to be patient with them.
Do they eat? What do they eat? They're taking their slow time just in case a creature sees them up like that thing that so it's going slowly so instead of swimming then it would keep
Right up ahead of us here towards the left. Now, the dolphins that we have in our bay are the Atlantic bottlenose dolphins, one of 32 known species worldwide. They've estimated 7 major pods that live in a 30-mile radius in the lower Laguna Madre, so you never know where they're going to be. They do like to come into the bay to feed. They'll eat anywhere between 20 and 30 pounds of marine life a day, consisting of mostly bait fish. On average, they don't really stay down for too long, just a couple of minutes at a time. But offshore in extreme circumstances, this same species has been known to dive down to depths of 1,000 feet and stay underwater for well over an hour. Over here towards the left side now. Right in front here.
That's the mom. You know, he's trying to... That's the mom and that's the baby. The first one was the mom, and then the baby.
They're trying to learn how to jump.
Yes.
Once they get bigger, they'll be able to jump like that.
Let's see. Let's stop right here. Stop right here. Let's do that thing over there. You know, finding movie with them.
Now remember that dolphin was gonna touch the mommy and the next one. Where in the world is it? I feel like
It's probably right here in front of us.
probably not. Might scare the baby away. And it doesn't want to. The mom doesn't want it to get
Right there, there was two. And baby one.
They both jumped.
Outsiders Radio is available on demand on the app and on your connected devices and speakers. It's Buzz. It's the highway. So we're talking about this 20-year-old man who climbed into a crawl space at Jason Aldean's bar down here on Lower Broadway and hung out. So we're talking about where we'd like to hang out. If you could go into a crawl space, just kind of lay low until they close, and you can come out and just have the whole place to yourself. I, of course, said Topgolf. So Lisa DeStefano was on Facebook, and she said anywhere they had food and alcohol, with that. And she said she would listen to the highway on her app, which is awesome. And Melissa Sturgeon and also Ryan Morgan said the same thing. Bass Pro Shop. Well, Melissa said for her husband, Bass Pro Shop. And then she would take Target. Hubby could go to Bass Pro Shop. I would take both of those as well. It's Buzz, 877-499 traffic.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and leave these dolphins here. Take a ride on out towards the jetties. See if we can find some more dolphins out there where the bay meets the Gulf.